Hey everyone, and another happy lazy Sunday to you, my lovely weekend warriors. I hope the weekend has been good to y'all, and if not, sit back, relax, and let me entertain you for a moment. This weekend's movie is the final in the grand saga that is the X-Men universe that has become so convoluted that people don't actually know the timeline anymore. And honestly, I really didn't want to see this movie just because it's so confusing, and each movie has just been dropping in quality. So since this is a superhero movie, I thought I'd let my alter ego handle this because if I do it, I'm gonna go ham on this movie. So, Shazam! Hello there, my lovely weekend warriors. I'm here to help Lazy find some good in this movie. So let's get into this one. Dark Phoenix starring Jennifer Lawrence, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, the lovely Jessica Chastain, Nicholas Hoult, Ty Sheridan, Alexandra Shipp, Evan Peters, and Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, also known as the Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix follows our X-Men doing what X-Men do best, and that's saving people from troubling situations. Unfortunately, during a space rescue mission, Jean is struck by a mysterious cosmic force that infects her, which I think is the Phoenix Force, because yes, let's retcon the fact that she already had this ability in the last movie. But Fox really wanted to stop all those fanboys from bitching and complaining about this by rewriting yet another timeline. Jean has now become the most powerful and destructive force on the planet, and she now stands to ruin humanity's view of mutants, and it's up to her fellow X-Men to help her control these powers before she loses control of herself. Dark Phoenix is Fox's second attempt at telling one of X-Men's most popular storylines, which is the Dark Phoenix saga, because we all know the first one went so well. And Fox promises that this would be the grand finale to the X-Men saga because the Disney overlords are now in charge of this ship.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
So second time's the charm, right? Well, let's get into the positives of this film. First is, oh, what was there? There must have been something good, right? Oh yeah, there was fighting! Yeah! Lots of good fighting! I'm sorry, people. I failed you! I can't do this. This is such a difficult job. I'm freaking out, man. Lazy, please take over! Shazam! You coward! Alright, folks, there's no sugarcoating it. This movie was absolutely terrible, and I was just contemplating whether or not to just completely spoil this movie for you because, I mean, it's just a waste of time. But I'll leave it up to you guys. I mean, after all, these are just my general opinions. If you still want to go check out the movie, go check out the movie. But anyways, why don't we get into it? First, I mean, were all the actors blackmailed to do this movie? Because it almost seems like they're being held prisoners. There was absolutely no passion in any of the scenes as everyone was so bland, so boring, and so wooden that none of the dialogue was believable, and sometimes it came off laughable. And I mean, not in a good kind of funny way, it was just bad. And the biggest culprit of this was Jennifer Lawrence. You can tell she really didn't want to be in this movie. It almost seemed like Fox had her for 2 hours and not for a minute more. Like each time that they were filming, it was probably something like this.
We get the astronauts, we bring them home. Go.
Good, got it, great.
She should be dead.
Good, got it, great.
Look at me. Focus on my voice.
Good, got it, great.
Don't even get me started with this one line she says in the movie that was so forced that it came out of nowhere, made no sense, and made me cringe really hard. The line she says, and I'm not kidding, was,
And by the way, the women are always saving the men around here. You might want to think about changing the name to X Women.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that, Private Pile?
This was right after the space mission, which kind of contradicts that line because Quicksilver and Nightcrawler were involved in that space mission and she really didn't do a whole lot. It really didn't make any sense as it has nothing to do with the movie, and it almost seems like the scene was supposed to end there before that line, but Jennifer Lawrence just wanted to get a little quick jab in, and you know the director was just like,
Good, got it, great.
and they butchered the characteristics of Beast and Charles Xavier. This was the most egregious use of Professor Xavier I've ever seen. They make him the most unlikable person in this movie. He's always been portrayed as this lovable father figure who makes questionable decisions, but always out of love, where this one, they really change it in a direction that ruins every interpretation of Professor X there has ever been. And Beast is supposed to be the most intelligent X-Men, but in this one, he's just not himself. Something happens, and then he just goes completely off the rails, and it just doesn't sound like something he would do. There was also this subplot with Jessica Chastain's character, as her and her group are looking for Jean to try to recruit her to their cause. But man, talk about some bland villains. They are so well known in this movie that if you took them out and just focused on the Dark Phoenix storyline, there might have been time to develop a good story here. Because even Jessica Chastain's acting in this movie is so boring, and that just has to do with the way the villains were written, because Jessica is a talented actress, but what she is given here, she was just trying to do her absolute best with what it was, and I just also feel like she didn't believe in what she was saying or doing. So with all of that being said, I'm giving Dark Phoenix a D. It was just a very bland and boring movie that was supposed to be this grand and epic finale, but it just doesn't feel earned because the timelines are all over the place and we haven't gotten time to really get used to these characters. And this movie does a poor job of developing all the X-Men properly to end this story arc. Everyone just comes out in this movie and they really feel like they don't want to be there anymore, and everyone is just tired and not putting any emotion into most of their performances. And the only cool scene that there was in the final act, which takes place on this train, which is action-packed, but the rest of the movie leading up to this action scene really drags the movie down in that when we get there we're already checked out, and it just feels like a really disappointing way for Fox to produce its last movie, because Disney now is going to be taking over the X-Men rights. Well, that's it for the review, you guys, but you know what? Let's talk about it. Have you seen Dark Phoenix? Did it put you to sleep, or did you feel like this was a proper end to the Fox X-Men franchise? Put your thoughts in the comment section down below, and it would really help the channel out if you guys give this video a little bit of love by hitting that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more of my reviews, subscribe to my channel by hitting that little bell icon, and you'll get notifications every time I release a new video. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have an amazing rest of the weekend. I'll catch you guys later.
Looks like the tables have turned. That was an incredible catch.